Hello, hello. Welcome to Kieran, Pearson, and Friends. Today with Jessica Cologne on Voluntary Virtues Network. This show we're going to be talking about, of course, anarchism, voluntarism, and freedom as it pertains to certain events that I've noticed in the news and Jessica's noticed in the news. Uh, Say hello to the guest, Jessica,
Hello, everybody.
and hello, everybody. I don't know if you all noticed, but I got an amazing tan.
I
Motherfuckers
got a
can't
little
tell.
one. See,
Yeah,
look at
you
my
know,
little tan.
we're out in the world doing real things because my life is real and I do real things. So anyway, I'll tell you probably more about that at the end of the show. But let's jump right into it. So I guess I don't know if everyone's been seeing this Jeremy Meeks fellow, the guy in California with the light eyes, with the gray blue eyes, who's super handsome, and everybody's fawning over him, and he's got a lot of likes. Like a lot of people are liking this guy, uh, and everybody's making a big deal. But I feel like a lot of people are missing the main story to this story. Jessica, you know about this situation? Have you heard about it? You muted up. You muted up.
Sorry, rookie mistake. I was just saying I do know about it, but I was just reading an article to kind of freshen up. And it's crazy how people see somebody with a couple of tattoos and like people just can't leave their past behind. I don't know how much you know about it, but I just read that according to his family, I mean, he kind of left that so-called life a long time ago, and he's been a family man. And because wrong place, wrong time. Nobody really knows what he's guilty of, if he's even guilty of anything. And like he's being murdered on the news. He's being murdered on social media just because, probably because he's a black man and because he has, gang-related tattoos.
Hmm.
There's more to
So,
it, but it's kind of like the article I just read was kind of focusing on that.
so my kind of take on it, my spin on it. Yes, he's a person of color. Um, Not that that really matters in statism, but it does. Um, Most of the people who are being locked up and targeted by these statist police, uh, not the statist. I feel like that's somewhat redundant. Um, are people of color, and come from certain neighborhoods and have certain, markings, if you will. This guy, albeit maybe, somebody who has changed his life and turned his life around, um, still fits the description, and in statism, it's, you can't hide that when it's written all over your face, so to speak. Um, so, this guy's, probably out and about with his family, maybe by himself, coming home from work or whatever, and he gets pulled over because he fits the description. They go through his stuff. Now, had Jeremy Meeks learned how to, deny searches, then there's probably a possibility that he could have gotten away from this and he wouldn't be getting all the notoriety. I think there's a lot of information out there on how to deal with police stops that people may not have seen. Have you watched many police stop videos, Jessica?
No, I have. It's been a while though, so I definitely need to sit down and rewatch everything. But there's so much stuff out there, how to deal with them in basically any situation. If you're getting pulled over in your car, if somebody calls them to your house for a noise disturbance, or a domestic violence of like you happen to have an argument with your significant other, and it gets loud, and somebody calls the police on you, how to deal with them. There's so much stuff out there. So you're right. In this day and age, I mean, I'm not one to assume that everybody has a computer or internet access, but I feel like most people that live in the quote unquote civilized world have internet access. So, I find myself saying this often, like the internet is for a lot more than just Facebook.
Right.
And people really don't take advantage of that. They don't.
At all, at all. So, I really wish that Jeremy Meeks wasn't famous right now and had maybe watched a couple how to deal with police stops and police encounter videos. Flicks Your Rights. Uh, I'll have to put that in the notes to
Yep.
remember to get to you all and put it in the link below as far as Flex Your Rights videos. They have an amazing amount of information in them in regards to how to deal with police encounters. But
So, sorry, let me just interrupt you for a second. That's the video series that they do the skits, right?
right, when they do
Okay.
run through
Yeah, that's
scenarios.
a really good one.
But there's several others, and there's also videos in which people are actually being pulled over by police, and they they go through the motions and show you how to deal with actual police stops while actually
Hmm.
being in a police stop. So there's a couple out there, and a lot of it's actually coming out of the same area in California, in which this incident took place in. Now, Jeremy Meeks before had has a criminal record. Everybody is saying, "Oh, this guy's a criminal. He's a gang member," which may or may not be true.
So
But
look, this is what I've read. Okay, so hold on. This is what is quote unquote known. So he got convicted of, I think it's called a grand theft of a person, which is a lesser charge than robbery, right?
Grand Theft Auto, I believe.
No, hold on. I have it pulled up right here. Hold on. Um, just give me one. Okay, so it says Meeks has previous convictions, including grand theft from a person, a lesser offense than robbery, and has documented links with gangs, including the North Side Gangster Crips. Okay, so the documented links, that apparently is from his past. So there's no current involvements.
Right,
And as far as I know, the only thing he's ever been convicted of is what I just read.
right.
So
So Grand Theft Auto. So he has a Grand Theft Auto charge that he actually served.
I don't know if it's Grand Theft
Nine,
Auto.
no, I saw it on a link.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't know
sorry.
if
I'm sorry.
on
Okay.
another link. I think it was Huffington Post. But yes,
Okay.
he has a Grand Theft Auto charge that he served 9 years in jail. I just want everybody to think about that, right? So let's say the car was maybe a $20,000 car, right, in value. So this guy stole this car. Now, was the car damaged? Maybe a little bit. How much was the damage on the car? Maybe about $5,000 worth of damage at the most, right? It was probably recovered, um, which, let's say Meeks went to court and they said, you know what, you have to pay for the damages of the car and you have to pay double the damages to the person that you stole the car from, right? And that puts it at $10,000, a total of $10,000, which, for me, it sounds pretty reasonable, right? And let's say you have to pay for all of this court and processing fees and all of that, and that's another $5,000, $15,000 that you owe to the court system. That's $5,000 that you owe to get the car fixed, and then you owe another $5,000 to the person that you stole the car from, as pain and suffering or whatever it was that they had to deal with in order to process the car because it was stolen. No, this is what, and this is why government, and this is why we have this show, is to talk about anarchism and government and the sort of stupidity of government. Instead, they chose to lock a man up at a cost of, let's say, about $40,000 a year, which is, I think, about the average going rate to lock someone up. They locked him up for 9 years at $40,000 a year for stealing a $20,000 car, right? That maybe had $5,000 worth of damage to it. And it's not about, was he right or was he wrong? If he stole the car, he stole the car, right? And he deserved to pay for it. Now, do we deserve, as fellow citizens, deserve to pay for his discretions, for his crimes? Now, if you think about it, at $40,000 for let's say 10 years, let's just round it up for 10 years, that's $400,000. $20,000 was stolen from people of California in order to pay to keep this man incarcerated for stealing a $20,000 car. Maybe. Just, we're hypothetically, but, let's say the average car costs about $20,000 with maybe $5,000 worth of damage on it. What fucking sense does that make? I don't understand it. I don't understand why anything, why people would not look at the mathematics of just the prison industrial complex, which is a business, and it's only been allowed to become a business because we live in a statist society, which, this particular one I said in a previous show is a corporatocracy. And in a corporatocracy, things like this happen. Prison industrial things can easily become profitized that, normally most people wouldn't profitize. Go ahead, Jessica. Were you
So,
going to say
the
something?
money. No, no, I did. I'm sitting here listening to you, and like the money part, that's always incredibly shocking to me. How much money is spent on people or convicts, criminals, whatever you want to call them, to send them to jail, and more often than not, they're crimes that, I mean, in my opinion, and I know this is all subjective, really aren't that big of a deal. Okay, so 9 years for stealing a car. That in itself, just hearing it, is mind blowing. 9 years for stealing a car. I don't know who decides how long people should serve time for certain crimes. I'm not sure if there's some equation. Like, how does this get decided? How is it possible that somebody, and I have to bring this up because I just saw a couple of memes about it this morning, and it's not funny at all, but it's just, the woman, Casey Anthony, I think her name is, that, I mean, I think she killed her baby and buried her in the backyard. She got off. Yes, the jury set her free, but I don't care. This woman got off with basically killing her baby. Even if it was manslaughter, she got away with it. And then there's that other kid, the affluenza kid, who was drunk and hit a car that was pulled over on the side of the road. Two of his friends that were in the car with him, I believe, died. Two of the people that were in the car that was on the side of the road died. And this kid got off because he, quote unquote, didn't know any better. And here's this guy that steals a car and he gets 9 years. Where is the sense in that? And then you start talking about money and it makes it that much worse. I would love to know what group of people sits down and says, hey, you know what? If somebody steals a car, they're going to get 9 years.
Well,
how is that decided?
And you know what? And the point is that, and I feel like in statism, in this particular form of statism, a corporatocracy, they're making money off of locking people up. So, they want to keep people in there as long as possible, which is why all of these victimless crimes are being the issue. Now, we haven't even gotten into the actual crime that he's being accused of, the supposed crime he's being accused of now. But, I'm still just breaking down the mathematics of a grand theft auto charge. If that man was out and working and made to work to pay off that debt, I mean, he could have easily paid for that person to have a new car in the course of 9 years, maybe even 2. And, but people should be highly upset that they're having to pay for other people's discretions. Like, you're having to pay to have people locked up. Like, money's being stolen from you in the form of taxation in order to pay to lock people up for marijuana possession, for other drug possession, all drugs, for prostitution.
All consensual acts. Every single one.
Well, and most people be like, oh, prostitutes are being pimped out. Well, we're not talking about the ones that, are forced to prostitute. We're talking about the people, the women or the men who decide, you know what, I love my body. Everybody else loves my body. They want to all have sex with me. I might as well make some money off of it. Hey, you want this? I want $200 for an hour. If you can do it, hey, more power to you.
I
I
mean,
think I think you should be allowed to do it.
I'm not trying to, deviate from the topic or get all controversial, but there's a lot of people out there that believe prostitution is somehow wrong, but will sit down and watch porn.
Well, you know
And
what? Yeah, you're exactly right.
so it's like, it's just to add a little bit of side commentary on the hypocrisy of the world we live in. How is it that because, this person does this very private interaction with another person and gets paid for it, and somehow that's morally and ethically wrong, but when you have porn stars who are basically, I mean, they're getting paid for sex. You want to call them adult actresses or actors all you want, but the reality is these people are getting paid to have sex on the screen. The only difference between them and prostitutes is that their sex is televised.
Or just filmed and recorded and sold in the form of DVDs.
Yeah.
There's all of these, crappy loopholes in order to justify the bullshit that happens in our
But
court.
you know what the difference is though? The glaring difference is that there's a lot more money to be made by more people than just those having sex on screen in porn. Whereas in prostitution, the only person really making money is the prostitute. And if she or he are unfortunate enough to have to pay out to a pimp, the pimp. So you're talking one, two people making profit from one interaction versus a whole industry making millions, probably billions of dollars. So really, that's why one is illegal and one isn't.
Well, yeah, it goes to my argument as to why cocaine is illegal and why coffee is illegal. I have to
Mm-hmm.
get into that later. I'll talk about that maybe at the end
Yes.
of this
Sorry.
conversation. Uh, but but back to Jeremy Meeks' situation. So yeah,
So I
just
can
the case
actually read, if you want, what he's been accused of.
with this recent time now.
Yes,
All
I
right,
have it
so
right here.
so okay, so these are the victimless crimes that Jeremy Meeks is up on. And now, mind you all, the audience, that victimless crime refers to a crime that, of course, has no victim in it. No one's property was damaged, no one was hurt, and no one was murdered or raped or anything. Nothing bad happened to anyone else in a situation besides the person who got arrested for the victimless crime, which has been determined by the state. So, read out the list, please.
Okay, so this is from the independent.co.uk. A statement from Stockton police said he was stopped while driving a car with two passengers away from a house due to be searched. It continued. A search of the passenger compartment yielded a 9mm round of ammunition and a small amount of what is believed to be marijuana. A search of the trunk located an unregistered and loaded Springfield Armory .45 caliber XD semi-automatic handgun along with two extended magazines for the firearm. That's it.
Okay, so one bullet in the car. So I guess that's one charge,
What they
right?
believe to be marijuana.
One, I think it was like five weapons charges. So I don't know if they're doing the magazine separately.
It sounds like it. I think in most states they consider each magazine a separate charge, and in some states each bullet is actually can get you up to a year.
So he's got, let's say each magazine is its own charge. The gun is its own charge. The bullet in the passenger side is its own charge, and whatever else
Yeah,
the
so the
char
one
other charge.
round, the marijuana, the two magazines, and the actual gun.
Right. Then they have him up on gang related charges. I don't know what the fuck gang related charges is. I didn't know hanging out with certain people could be a crime in this country.
But the crazy part is that nothing was actually found on his person. Everything was in the car.
So let me
At
get
least
this
that's
straight.
what I'm understanding.
All right, so I'm not a constitutionalist by no means. I don't give a fuck about the words of rapist, genocidal, slave owning Europeans being written down as if they have any clout at all because these dudes were, owning slaves. So I don't give a fuck about them. And it wouldn't matter if they're European or fucking Chinese or whatever. It doesn't matter. They were fucking douchebags. And if you like, oh, the Constitution, you're probably a douchebag too. but anyway, the Constitution says that human beings have the right to bear arms. Now, mind you, the Constitution doesn't give you your rights. These are rights that you have just because you are, right? So it just spells out rights that you naturally have. And so the natural rights is that you should be able to have a gun. Shouldn't matter if you're a ex-con. This dude did fucking 9 years. He did his time. He should be free to be able to do whatever the fuck he wants to do at this point because he paid his quote-unquote debt to society, which actually society paid his debt to
Right.
the complex. So he should be able to have every right afforded to everyone else. Now, here's the issue: is that we have all of these crazy gun laws that prohibit people to being able to possess a firearm, which should be their natural right. Like, you should not have to go through all of these loopholes in order to be able to buy a firearm. It should be the same thing as going to Home Depot to buy a drill. I mean, people, you can kill people, a lot of people. Shit, you kill a lot of people with a drill. If you fucking...
Listen. You can go get a very high-powered nail gun that's battery charged and walk around shooting people. Not that I'm trying to encourage anybody to do this.
Oh shit, we have a guest. Daniel King. Hey, Daniel, hold on. We're talking about...
I got on this video call.
Wait, what?
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan is here.
So professional, so on time. But so we were talking about the Jeremy Meeks situation, Daniel, just so you know, so you can listen in. And so now he's up on all of these charges, none of which are actually have a victim involved, which is the supposedly marijuana charge in fucking California, right? Which is absolutely bananas to me.
My fault, guys. Hold on one second. Let me get somewhere.
It's all right. We're not even.
Where I've got some light. Yo, is there another light in your bedroom? Yeah.
This is hilarious. I'm sorry.
You know, Daniel, I'm trying to run a professional show here. You're making the people of color look really bad right now. I've got bosses. Somewhat.
Why is this shit so slow right now?
I don't know. You keep finding us, but anyway, so we're on a Jeremy Meeks situation, and so he's up on all of these charges, none of which have a actual victim, right? This is what people should be fucking pissed off about. Like, you should be highly upset that money is being stolen from you to lock this man up for hanging out with people and having weapons to protect himself in the case that he should need so.
So, and there's I was just gonna say there's another angle I want to bring into this. How unforgiving this society is for people who have served their time. He stole a car. He did 9 years. According to everybody that knows him, this dude, he became a family man. He loves his kids. He has a wife. And he's been living pretty legit since all of this happens. And now this thing happened to him. And there's absolutely no proof that he had any illegal substances on him or any illegal weapons because everything was in the car. And he is getting crucified. I mean, he's in jail right now. He's in jail right now.
And even if it wasn't on his person, he's driving a car, so he's responsible for the contents of the car. Again,
he was driving the car for sure. I thought he was a passenger.
I don't know. If he was driving,
whatever. That's kind of like neither here nor there, but.
Right. Yeah, I thought you said he was driving a car, and he was driving a car that he left from a house that was going to be raided, right?
You know what? That probably sounds right. That's probably right. The car was like moving away from a car that was scheduled to be searched.
A house that was supposed to be searched. From what you said in the article.
Oh.
So, what's the total amount of years? I mean, shit, he got locked up for doing for stealing a car. He got 9 years. So let's say he's gonna get another 9 years now. that he has another felony. Is it California, 3 strikes and you're out state? Uh,
That's right. I forgot about that in California.
which is fucking ridiculous. I mean, what what does it say about our society, our civilization? This is actually a civilization. To say that we've based our laws and how we adjudicate on a fucking sport. Fucking baseball. Like the shit is mind blowing. Like what kind of how are people this fucking retarded? Like how do we live in this place and people are like, well, he committed a crime. This is his third felony. He's got to go away. Like
And that's the thing, though. Like, okay, so if I understand this correctly, when the 3 strikes, so let's say I get caught 3 times for 3 nonviolent crimes. Like, I don't know, maybe one time I got caught with, I don't know, like a half ounce of weed. Then the second time I got caught with, I don't know, a little bit of like cocaine or something. And the third time I got caught with prescription pills that weren't mine. I mean, not in an actual bottle, but pills that I had no prescription for that I could only get over the counter. I mean, at a pharmacy. So if those are my 3 strikes,
you're going to
I serve
do
life in prison.
you're doing 25 to life.
So it really doesn't matter what you do, just the fact that you got caught 3 times.
Bingo.
I don't know how people know this and they're okay with it. Like, how fucking deep is the brainwash? I laugh because I don't know what else to do. I mean, it makes me feel, it makes me actually think of somebody that's really close to me, and he, now that I think about it, he did some shit. He served his time. A year later, he's out and about with some friends. They get pulled over. And the police, I don't know how this happened, that somebody gave the police permission to search the car, or they claim to have probable cause because maybe somebody was smoking weed in the car. I have no fucking idea. All I know is that they ended up finding some cocaine in the car, and this person ended up having to go back to prison for another 5 years because he violated his probation, even though the coke wasn't even on him. How anybody can feel that's right is beyond any fucking understanding.
So let me get this straight. For $200,000, they sent this guy to jail at a cost of $200,000 for having $100 worth of cocaine.
And mind you, the first time he went to prison was for a drug offense, so it wasn't even a violent crime. He got caught with an illegal substance, and they charged him for intent to distribute. And you know how they caught him? I mean, the irony of this is like mind-boggling. Somebody hit him on the head, knocked him out, and robbed him. So when the ambulance got called, the police showed up, they searched him, and they found drugs on him. So he ended up doing 7 years for that. So he woke up in the hospital handcuffed.
So he was actually the victim in the situation.
Yes, he was.
And he went to jail. Oh boy, statism is so funny, And if he had been killed and found the drugs on him, they would have just been like, it's drug related. It's not important. Fuck him. He's a drug dealer. Like, no, he didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't hurting or harming anyone. This is ridiculous, man. This is utterly ridiculous. And people are just like, oh, he's a criminal. He deserves to get locked up. This is a victimless crime. Everyone should be highly upset that this man is being thrown in a cage.
Another thing about, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, just had a little bit of opposing. I mean, I don't buy this at all, but so a lot of people are saying that it's what's happening to Jeremy is validated because he has one teardrop tattoo, which in gang culture, as I understand it, I'm saying that a lot, but if it's, as I understand it, each tear represents one person that you killed. So people are saying that he's a murderer because he has this tattoo, and he deserves the time.
It could be, but it also could mean that you lost someone who's part of your gang, which is why you're
Exactly.
crying.
I mean, I don't want
But
to be naive about it, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what? He didn't get caught if he did do it. There's no proof. So here we are again, hanging somebody when we have no clue what actually happens.
right. So, um, shit's crazy, man. Yeah, free Jeremy Meeks. Not just because he's a handsome guy, but because he's fucking innocent of doing anything that is a crime, is criminal at all. So this man should be free and out of jail and probably have some $1 billion modeling deal in his
You know what?
underwear.
They're already lining up. According to what I've been reading, he's already like they're just waiting for him to get out so they can make him the actual offers.
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty sure he's gonna get, they'll probably let him out which is, to his lucky him that he's a fucking
Right?
sex that that L'Oreal or whoever the fuck is hitting up the judge like, yeah, just let him out, just let him out. We got shit to sell. Lucky him. Shit. I mean, I wish I had that kind of luck when it came to if it came down to it, but I doubt it. So yeah, I hope he gets out, and I hope this case will reveal sort of how stupid statism is. Like, you should be able to have a gun on you, and like, it shouldn't matter if you've done whatever. Like, you don't have a right to protect yourself just because you at one point in time were a criminal. No, that's absurd. Like, anybody could get robbed at any point in time. So free free Jeremy Meeks. That's my spiel about that. We should move on to the next story, which is Philadelphia Police Department and what they have to say about new marijuana laws in Pennsylvania, or the city council of. You want to tell us about that story, Jessica?
Sure. So, from what I've read, the city of Philadelphia has passed an ordinance where anybody who gets caught with an ounce or less is not considered a criminal charge, and they want to treat it like a traffic violation. And I believe that the fine that they have set up for this is $25, which I think is really similar to Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts, it's an ounce or less and $100 fine.
Okay, so actually in Philly, the fine is even less because you're talking $25.
Well, it's in Boston. It's an ounce or less, but I imagine that if it's broken up into sellable small permutations, then they might get you on a intent to distribute, which is a different charge, which might be sort of the loophole that they have, because there's always a fucking loophole with these criminals. They're locking people up for bullshit, victimless crimes like marijuana possession or
So,
any.
the city of Philadelphia, they, the folks that passed this new ordinance, they want Philly to become the progressive city that it's supposed to be.
What the,
So
what the
now,
fuck does progressive even mean? Like, where the fuck are we progress?
that
What is
word is so funny. But, when I hear that word, what I think is getting better, progressing.
getting better? How? For what? For who?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Because you're right. It's just one of those words that I think it's supposed to sound like pretty and good, but ultimately it means nothing.
I mean, shit, we could be progressive towards fucking Nazism, which we are. Is that progressive? I think so. You know, we could be fucking progressive towards just straight up, you know, techno totalitarianism.
So,
Not
okay, back to Philly, right? So the big whoop with this is that the chief of police came out, I think it was either yesterday, no, not yesterday because it was Sunday, maybe today or Friday or something, talking about he doesn't care what the city ordinance is. he's still going to arrest people that he catches or that his force catches with marijuana because it's not state law, and state law precedes the city's ordinance. So the city's actually coming out talking about, we don't know what the hell this guy's talking about, because every other county that has a similar law, they're doing exactly what we want to do, which is, if you get caught with it in public, you get a ticket, $25 ticket. So I don't know where this is going to end up, but from what I have read, the city is being very vocal as far as how much they're not agreeing with the chief of police, who's basically telling his force, his pigs, to go out and arrest people no matter what this ordinance says.
Now, wasn't Pennsylvania one of those places where the judges were sending kids to juvenile detention?
Actually, I don't know if it was Philly, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in Pennsylvania.
I would wager to bet, and this may be my conspiracy theorist side. I would wager to bet that this fucking police chief has somehow got stock in one of these private corporations that houses inmates. I love that fucking double speak. Houses inmates. Like, no, motherfucker, you're caging people in dungeons of anal rape for years. Let's call it
anal rape.
Like, I mean, it's
not funny, but it's funny.
But that's what's really going on. We're housing inmates. No, motherfucker, that's not what this shit is.
So wait, one more thing that I want to add. I'm sorry to interrupt. So the police chief Ramsey, also came out saying that he is not for any form of legalization. So this is a personal vendetta. This is a public servant paid by tax money, basically enforcing his own opinions.
By the public, who's saying that, hey, we don't want this shit no more. The public is.
Yes, and he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want legalization in any form, so I'm still gonna arrest people.
You know what? I want everybody to go to work tomorrow, and I want them to tell their boss, and their boss tells them to do something. Like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want to do it that way. I'm doing it this way.
Right.
Everybody. This goes back to the adage that, badges don't grant you special rights. It's so fucking funny that cops are always I'm just doing my job. Even when I got arrested for paying my taxes with pennies, I got arrested and I'm going in on the cops and I'm just doing my job. It's like, you motherfuckers, when you are supposed to be just doing your job, you decide not to do that shit and do some completely rogue other shit that's more harmful than you just doing your job.
So I want to read the last 3 sentences of this article. It's from Philly.com. So, quote, even if penalties for marijuana possession are reduced, Ramsey said, police still have to take and process contraband. Not having to arrest someone, he said, is not really a time saver at all. If you recover marijuana, Ramsey said, what is the officer going to do with it? What? What? So how is not arresting somebody not a time saver? Never mind time. How is not arresting somebody not saving the city and the taxpayers thousands of dollars a year? Hundreds of thousands, probably.
But the goal isn't to save taxpayers money.
Of course not. Of course not.
They want that money to go into their coffers. That money is stolen from us to pay for the corporations who are nothing but the people who are a part of the criminal justice system. It really is a criminal justice system. It's a justice system run by criminals. These people
the fact that this man who is supposed to be objective in his job and follow the law, and he's literally coming out and saying Literally, I am ignoring what I'm being told because my personal opinion is A, B, and C, and I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. How is he not fired yet? How is that not a violation of his job?
I bet you there's so much government bureaucratic red tape that they have to go through in order to fire this guy for his stance. And maybe that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he's trying to get fired on
So he
some
can get a
wrongful
pension?
termination shit
Yeah,
and get $200,000 severance
could
package,
be.
which is coming out of the taxpayer's pocket to go and build a house in Tahiti. Chill
And
with
go
those
smoke some weed with some Tahiti folks.
motherfucker. The irony of this shit, he's probably gonna be blazing flat blunts like, yeah, man,
Ha ha ha.
bullshit. So like, wow, wow, and people are
Yeah.
saying, oh, the police are there to protect you. And this motherfucker's trying to throw you in a cage for smoking weed, and I ain't never seen nobody go out and do some foul shit high as hell. You already got the movies where the dudes are smoking the joint and passing the blunt around before they go and murk somebody. That shit ain't happening. You are not gonna get high and go try to kill somebody. I can barely walk half the time I get high. You know, let alone go and like shoot guns at people and like make it be a life and death situation. Like it just doesn't make sense.
I've
Like
never known anybody who smoked and wanted to fight, wanted to argue, wanted to go and start trouble. I've never been around like potheads in public that were acting rowdy. I mean, you want to talk about how
docile tank.
ridiculous it is. You have people that go to a bar, they get shit faced, and these people are still allowed somehow to get in their cars and drive. They start fights, they harass each other, they harass all the other patrons, and somehow that's okay. But let somebody be smoking a little joint somewhere and somebody smells that the smoke, the police will be there in less than 10 minutes.
Well, one of the guys who I wanted to have on the show, and I wanted him to tell this story about an encounter. He shall remain nameless. Uh, he was at a parking lot at a restaurant, and he was smoking. He was smoking, because there was a long wait at the restaurant. And what better, eat anyway. So you might as well be high and have the munchies and go to the restaurant. You're probably going to order way too much food, and the restaurant's going to make crazy money. He starts smoking. The people who work there smell the smoke. They come over to the car, and they're trying to detain him. And he's like, yo, like, get out of my way. Like, I'll just leave. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if you don't want me here. And they're like, no. And they're trying to take his license plate information. And they're trying to keep him in a parking lot in order to get him busted for marijuana possession. Now, I would have stayed in the parking lot and be like, yo, these guys are holding me hostage. I would have ate the blunt.
Because that is what they were doing. I mean, I
Right.
remember him. I saw this
Right.
story as well. They were standing in
Now,
front of his car, so he couldn't drive away. And you know the
right.
funny part? I have to add this. He said that when they approached the car, he thought that they were going to be like, yo, can we get some smoke? And he was ready to pass them the blunt. That's how potheads roll. Okay? That's a perfect example of a pothead. They want to share their pot. They want to make other people happy, not fucking fuck with their lives.
Right. And so, I mean, but if he had his wits about him, I would have ate the blunt and just been trying to get out of the parking lot or tossed it or whatever. And then been like, when the police got there, hey, look, these guys are holding me hostage. They won't let me out of here. Like, I want you to arrest them. I'm glad you're here. Like, they would have been in more trouble than you
Yeah,
for
that's true.
what?
But you know what, though? I mean, look, I hate to, I don't like really bringing the race stuff into it, but he also brought up a good point. Where he was at, he's a black dude with his black girlfriend, and the two dudes accosting him were white, and he felt that in that situation, the odds were stacked against him. So he
Hey, look.
bounced.
Hey, look. Hey, look. I'm from that area. I was actually born in the city where this transaction, this incident took place. And let me tell you something about that region. Them motherfuckers are bigoted as hell. And I use bigoted specifically to mean people who don't work for government. Everybody else who works for government, teachers, police officers, government officials, those motherfuckers can and probably are racist. Those are like the only people who can be racist. Everyone else is bigoted, right? So yeah, no, Northwest Indiana, which is the region, is racist as hell. I mean, but so is Boston. So is everywhere in this country.
So is Boston.
As far as the politic is concerned, now the populace as a whole is pretty bigoted as well. It's America, motherfucker. Like, get used to it. So,
but I mean, I don't want that to be like the focus of the convo either. But I think that's why he made the choice that he made. But like as a personal choice, he just felt that in that situation he was fucked no matter what. So he was just like, yo, I'm out. This is not a battle I'm willing to fight right now. And I kind of don't blame him.
Which is always, if you can avoid an interaction with the police, the more the merrier. So the better, all the better. So people of Philadelphia realize somebody wrote this earlier, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. Your police have gone rogue. Like, motherfucker, they've never been your police. Realize that. Because if they were your police,
I said ever. I'm sorry, just emphasizing. Sorry.
Ever, right. And so they were never your police. Because if they were, they wouldn't be arresting you, throwing you in cages, writing you tickets for victimless crimes like speeding or running a stoplight or driving while, they have a quota to meet. So,
but yeah, that's right. I totally forgot that a couple of months ago, there was another crazy thing in Philadelphia where the police are like, yeah, we don't even need a warrant to search your car or to search your property. Is that what it was?
Not sure, but
I'm pretty sure it was in Philadelphia that they're saying now they passed this law or some bill that the police don't need a warrant to search your car, or they don't need probable cause. They can just basically be like, we want to search your shit and you have to let us, and that's it. And if you don't, you're obstructing justice.
I definitely know in Georgia and Tennessee now that if there is a DUI checkpoint and you refuse to blow into the DUI machine, then they will forcibly take you to a facility. They'll arrest you. Yeah. They'll kidnap you. They'll take you to a facility. They'll strip you. They'll strap you to a gurney or some kind of device.
And take your blood.
They'll hold your head down forcibly like a strong football playing ass cop will hold your head down, and they will stick a needle in your arm, and they will draw blood from you.
And I mean, if anybody who's watching and who will watch this doesn't believe this, just Google it. I've seen at least 5 different cases, 5 different people that this has happened to, and there's one. Maybe I'm gonna learn how to like play videos during this because the clip is not that long. There's this one man, his reaction is just so powerful because he's screaming throughout the whole thing like, how is this happening in this country? How is this happening to an American citizen? How is this where am I in Cuba? I think he said something like, am I in Cuba? I don't know what, some shit like that. But he was just so angry, and like I feel like everybody that happened to was. And then there's another one I saw of a woman who she looked like she was in so much shock that she just was totally compliant. Yeah, like she didn't even know what to do.
Yeah, the lady that you're talking about, I saw that. She just looked like she had shut down. Like she just went out of it. She went to somewhere else. And it was kind of
shock, to be honest with you. I think we were watching somebody in complete shock.
I put it in the notes. I'll add the video in the notes that you all can see.
Yep.
Also, I'll put the Jeremy Meeks video in there of them talking about him going to jail for 9 fucking years for Grand Theft Auto, some bullshit. Anyway, so now we've covered the important shit. We've got 10 minutes left on the show. I guess I brought up one thing that I thought was interesting, and it relates to, I guess, the conversation where we're talking about where the how much money something is being made. I told you I'll talk about it towards the end. And it's cocaine versus coffee. Uh, what were you saying? It makes a whole lot of money. Oh, porn. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
porn versus prostitution and why one's legal and one isn't.
all right. So just like porn versus prostitution, cocaine versus coffee, right? So let's say you have a coca leaf or a bunch of coca leaves. You break it down. You take the main ingredient that gets people high or gives them a stimulation, which is cocaine, and it's in a powder form. Let's say it's it's pure cocaine. It's uncut. It doesn't have anything in it other than cocaine. Um, and you pack it into into blocks or bricks, right? And let's say one little less than a gram of cocaine, like a tenth of a gram of cocaine, has the equivalent of drinking 1 cup of coffee, right? How much cocaine could be shipped and used by people on a daily basis in order to get the desired effect that they wanted, right? It wouldn't take much, maybe 3/10 of a gram of cocaine for you to make it through your day in a way that's functional, which is is very little. Now, how many cups of coffee? We just said three, right? So that's what, $12 at
I mean, look,
Starbucks.
most people that I know that drink coffee on average drink at least 4 cups of coffee. At least.
Damn. So let's say Starbucks, you're spending like $3 a cup, right? With the tip and everything. Let's say 250, right? On the safe side. So that's 750. Uh, $8, round it up to $8 if you leave tips and shit. So you spend $8 a day on coffee. Um, and that's with milk, that's the sugar, that's the cup, that's the brewer, that's you have to pay the what do you call the person who brews the coffee, the
The
Baptista,
barista.
the barista, uh, the person serving it, the cashier, the manager, this, that, and the third. So that cup of coffee in actuality should not cost $3 if you say made it at home or whatever. Or if you could just get the main fucking ingredient out of it, which is the caffeine, which is all you really want, right? If you could just get that and just put that straight into your system, you'd be good to go. But you can't, right? Um, and it's the same thing with cocaine. So for me, I think that's why coffee is legal, and it's all fucking drugs. People try to make it seem like it's not. Like coffee is a fucking drug. It's
And you
not.
want to talk about the physical effects, and I don't know how many people out there have gone through this, but I've actually drank too much coffee. I have never felt worse in my life. And I know that, again, subjective, and like I'm not trying to like whatever, but I spent 4 hours with some of the worst abdominal pain I've ever experienced. I tried to make myself throw up. I don't even know how many times to get rid of it. I mean, it was this intense headache, intense nausea, intense pain for 4 hours straight just because I drank too much coffee.
I actually think.
I wonder. I'm sorry, go
I,
ahead.
I actually think more people overdose and die from coffee than they do cocaine in this country. I could be wrong, but I actually think that that's legit.
I mean, I feel like you would have to do a lot of coke at once to, like, I don't know, have your heart stop or have a heart attack or something like that. I mean, you would have to do a lot of coke at once. Not over time, because I know, just like everything, this goes for food, this goes for anything. If you do it a lot over time, it does have negative side effects. But like, just at once, like, how much cocaine do you actually have to sniff to overdose, to have your body just like, or an organ conk out on you?
I
Because I
mean,
know what it took for me with coffee.
right. And even that is sort of subjective because there's no There's no like standard for purity, and so like
And I'm sure body weight has a lot to do with
no.
it too.
Are we talking right? It does. Are we talking about something that's 50% cocaine? Are we talking about something that's 75%, 25%? What's the
That's
measurement
true.
of actual cocaine? To potency that it would actually take to overdose. Somebody who was like a father to me was telling me uh, that with certain drugs like heroin, people used to get excited when they heard about people overdosing because they knew that the heroin they were going to get was going to be really good because it's fucked up, right?
There's some kind of dark and twisted shit a little bit.
Like, and what would be crazy is that they would go look for the person who sold the people that OD'd the heroin because they wanted that good shit. And so it's like the reason why most people overdose is because the potencies of the heroin come in at there's no standard. So you might get some cut up shit one day, and then you get some pure tar, and you inject that shit, and then your lungs basically you go into cardiac arrest, like you just stop breathing, and then there's no oxygen to your lungs. You basically suffocate because you got so fucking high because the heroin was that strong. And
Mm.
it's like that's how most people end up dying. They end up doing the same amount that they usually do, not knowing that it's twice as strong. So and this is all an effect of drug prohibition. It's like if you had a heroin business selling heroin, you would make sure that you knew how much people should take so that you could keep them as a fucking customer for years. You don't want people overdosing. You're killing your fucking market. It makes no sense. So uh, yeah, no, it's again heroin, cocaine, all of this shit should be legal. Not even legal. It's just leave people the fuck alone. Let them figure this shit out. I mean, was there any standard for you when you started drinking? Like, no, they just somebody handed you some shit and was like, here, drink some of that, and figure out how much of that is gonna take for you to get fucked up, and then don't ever drink that amount again.
And not only that, like, how many people do you know waited until they were actually 21 to start drinking?
Man, I was lit up after I went to Puerto Rico at 16. I was folded.
Seriously.
So nobody ever waits for that shit. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. This has been fun as usual. I'm going to change. I'm wanting to change the format of the show a little bit. I know I talked about this last week, and I'm working on a transition out of sort of this particular format and wanting to go to something else. I think is a little more conducive to where my life is journeying. I'm actually going to be heading out west soon and start working towards learning to build houses that are eco-friendly and beyond eco-friendly, which will actually help give people freedom from their life of being a tax slave, not so much a wage slave, because everybody's got to work, and there's something to be said about the division of labor, but definitely for being a tax slave and being a rent slave and a mortgage slave. Um, so these types of houses they're called earthships. I actually want to start doing interviews with people who are already living this lifestyle, who are living different than what you and I have known, aside from the typical anarchist voluntarist things that are typically talked about, like Bitcoin and dark coin and all of these sort of typical things. And so look forward to more shows about those things, permaculture and etc. Um, it's been Kieran, Pearson, and Friends with Jessica Cologne. And, thank you all for watching. The one of you who is watching now, I bet you there were questions and I couldn't get to it because I apologize because I didn't want it to play and make all the noise as it had done in the past. But I'll answer your questions Sorry I didn't answer them on the show. I'll answer them in the feed on YouTube. This has been our show for this week. Thank you very much, and talk to you all later.